Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Morgan You Know podcast, a conversation show about sports. This time of year, we focus on basketball. All year round, we focus on wrestling. We will get to that in the back half of this show. My name is Rod Morgan. I will serve as your host. I am joined by two gentlemen who are here to help me out all year round. First is our wrestling expert on the podcast. He is our technology expert on the podcast. He is our executive producer on the podcast. He is our resident Bears fan, Jimmy Jam Risk. Am I forgetting anything else?
No, I'm just happy to be here, Rod. I love football, and I might love relocation as well, but we'll talk about that here in a minute.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a Bears bone your way here before we get to basketball, that's for sure. But somebody else who enjoys the state of Indiana, doesn't really enjoy the Bears, likes the Cowboys for some reason, but we don't hold that against him. He's our old man. He's Chris King. Chris, hello.
Hot today, fellas. I know this season is over, but the NCAA is sticking their nose into the national championship of IU, and it could be threatened to be taken away over an ineligible player. I am hot.
Ooh, I actually had not even heard about this. So we got, I saw that Kurt Signetti got yet another contract extension. I did see word of that, but I didn't see that IU was under investigation for a faulty player, Chris. Does this just dirty everything that IU just did then? Is that what's happening here?
Well, if you guys remember the player who had the game-sealing interception against Miami, he was in his sixth year, and he had originally been denied by the NCAA, but then there was an injunction by a judge allowing him to play while the case played out in court. And then apparently after the season was over, this had not been resolved, but the player, having finished the season, getting ready to try to join the NFL, dropped the case. And now the NCAA is using that as a de facto admission of guilt and may try to levy sanctions.
We will have to keep our eyes on that. The NCAA just continuing to make fabulous decisions, huh, Jimmy Jam? That sounds pretty convoluted to me.
Just it happened. Let it go. It was an injunction. It was fine. Then he graduated, so it doesn't matter anymore. Just go with it. NCAA, stop. You've got like maybe 3 years left at this rate. Just stop what you're doing.
Maybe 3 years is pretty damn pathetic, excuse me, by you.
Both
there,
of them.
Jimmy Jam. Yes. I want to touch on a couple things quickly before the homework assignment. I didn't explicitly tell all the listeners and you guys that it was a homework assignment, but I mentioned TGL last week, and there were 4 TGL matches between last week's taping and tonight, so we're going to touch on that. But first, Chris, we got to touch on the biggest story in the nation, something that happened in the United States for the first time since 1980, when you were already an old man back in 1980 when the United States defeated Russia for hockey gold. This time around, the power was Canada. But I don't know about you, Chris. I watched more hockey on the gold medal game morning than I had in quite a while.
Yeah, I definitely watched more hockey this year than I had in a long time. And let's be honest, not just the men's, all right? The women were out there dominating too. Every time you turn around, they were winning 5-0. So, yeah, great Olympics for American hockey.
Jimmy Jam, you know that I am not a hockey guy. You know that I'm not a soccer guy. I've moved away from baseball. But you want to talk about edge of your seat, right? We get to extra time in a World Cup in soccer, right? We get to extra innings of a Game 7 in the World Series like we had in baseball this year. That was some nail-biting stuff. But I don't know that anything compares to that overtime 3-on-3 hockey that we saw early in the morning on Sunday.
It doesn't, because the speed. You have basketball, which you've got a clock, so that doesn't count. Baseball, you have time in between pitches. You have zero time. Anything can happen. If our goalie doesn't make the greatest save in the history of all saves, we're not winning. If a guy who loses his teeth leaves to go get them fixed, we don't win. It was amazing, Rod. It was a terrific win for the USA.
It certainly was. I was excited to see it. I'm not excited to see some of the conversation that has sprung out of that game, but that is America in 2026, unfortunately.
Wait a second, though, Rod, because we are skipping over something that is not only crazy, but probably so improbable there wasn't even a betting market for it. All right.
It's where I was going next, Chris.
The USA, women and men's, play Canada for the gold medal. Both are tied 1-1 at the end of regulation. USA wins both games on a golden goal in overtime. You couldn't have matched that up any better. There's no way anybody was taking that bet before the Olympics started.
Yeah, you had to get some serious odds on that, boy, I'll tell you. The only thing that could get the U.S. a gold before was an impassioned speech by Herb Brooks, and this time it was almost more than a lightning strike to get wins out of both of them. But the one thing I did like coming out of the USA hockey game, Jimmy, and you're a bit of a broadcaster appreciator like me. You know the name Jim McKay. You know the name Bob Costas. You know some of the greats, right? And hosting the Olympics is that move. And I believe Mike Tirico cemented himself as the number one broadcaster. Nobody's got a bad thing to say about Mike Tirico. The guy's an absolute pro. He knows what to say. He's good at writing scripts, but he's also really good at coming off the cuff. I think you could tell in those remarks he had coming out of the gold medal game. Some of that he planned on saying. Some of that just came off the dome. And much love to Mike Tirico, Jimmy. I know you were probably impressed by that, just like I was.
I'm just appreciating it because he appreciated it so much. He loves the sport. He loves to do something a little different than he has in the past. He's talked about that. Got a chance to do hockey. Got a chance to do a gold medal game, and then the one the U.S. wins. It's so great. Great job.
Don't forget, he also does a little Kentucky Derby every now and again. Love me some Mike Tirico. But Jimmy, you talked about relocation. Governor Mike Braun of the great state of Indiana. His popularity may be low, but he still is the governor of the great state of Indiana. And he was on the Pat
Getting
McAfee.
higher.
Yeah, he was on the Pat McAfee show today talking about your Bears still possibly playing in Hammond. Jimmy, you can't possibly believe that they're actually going to do this, right? This is just Mike Braun being a patsy so that the Bears can get everything they want from the state of Illinois, right?
So I was born in Highland up until last year. Some of my family still lived in Hammond. A lot of my family live in the region now. It's one of those things where I really want it to happen for the people in that area because you will see a renaissance in the area. You will see businesses go. You'll see things get cleaned up. I think it would be great. As a Bears fan, I mean, Hammond is Chicago. I mean, people don't understand. It's literally where my mom grew up in Hammond, 3 streets over Chicago. It's Chicago, okay? It's just so strange that it wouldn't be in Illinois, but you got to give credit to Mike Braun, and I don't think I've ever said that before. He and the Indiana State Legislature, which Indiana State Legislature have surprised me like no other. I'm still a Hoosier at heart. They got this thing done in like a month. I mean, it seems, because the Senate today approved it. He signed it. They're good to go if they want it. Illinois, I think they did some things today that might help them a little bit. I'm just concerned, Rod, that they're stringing Hammond along a little bit too much. But I think Hammond and Mike Braun kind of know that. I really feel bad for the people if this doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'm going to wade carefully here, but I'm kind of not surprised that things in the great state of Indiana, being that they are dominated by one party, were able to move through the state house that quickly, Jimmy Jam. I mean, basically when the old GOP of Indiana decides something is going to happen, it's going to happen, and there's nobody that's going to be able to put up any opposition to it in the great Hoosier state right now. But you're right. Speed, Indiana's ready. I imagine that they're a patsy. That's where I'm at on this. Chris, where do you stand?
I mean, we're one step closer to the Gary Grizzlies, right?
Well, and I think that was great. That was great that he said, no, everybody, it's the Chicago Bears. Calm down. So I think that was a good thing for him to say. But then also, I give credit to a couple of the people on the Pat McAfee show who their interviews go kind of depends on who it is. But there were some really good questions that Braun did not answer, by the way. I think Ty Schmidt asked, hey, I'm a taxpayer here. Let me know what's going on. How are my taxes going to look? Didn't even come close to answering that question because, yeah, they're going to go up. They're definitely going to go up if you're going to give all this money to a team. Again, I just feel it should have been done in Chicago a long time ago, but it would be so great for the Northwest Indiana. It would be really cool.
I guess I'm a Hoosier through and through, and congratulations to Hammond if they get there. But I don't know. Mike Braun doesn't inspire a whole lot in me other than I'm not going to go there, but I can't be excited about this because Mike Braun unfortunately is involved, and I just don't think that the Bears should be playing in Hammond, Indiana. So that's kind of where I'm at. But let's move on from that to the homework assignment that I gave the boys. A few years ago, Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy announced that they were joining forces together with a bunch of rich guys behind the scenes, because there's always rich guys behind the scenes, for an indoor video golf league that they call TGL. The first season happened to some decent reviews, to some decent critical claims. We made some changes. We've come back for a second year. I have been absolutely transfixed by the second year of TGL. I will hold my thoughts because I'm clearly in the tank for it. I'm interested in what you two gentlemen thought, because you guys tuned in to some of the TGL coverage this week. Jimmy Jam, I'll go to you first. What'd you think?
Rod, I love you. You're a good guy. Got some great takes. I love the game of golf. In the last few years, I've played a lot more golf. I've enjoyed it tremendously. I played video golf before. It's fun. I actively hate this, Rod. I hate this so much. There are so many things. I took notes. I wasn't planning on taking notes. By the way, in my note, it changed Tiger Golf League to Tiger Goof League, and I kind of think that's what it is. First of all, the ambient music I hate with no, it's just so bad. Maybe for the people in the arena, who, by the way, didn't seem to care much about anything, the fans there didn't seem to care much about anything. I'm going to go in a couple, and I'll let Chris go, and then I've got more, okay?
You're great.
That screen is so small, it doesn't do anything for me. Hate the screen. What I do like, the green, pitching on the green, that's fine. It's a little something different. I thought the screen was really small. I've got some ideas for it, but Chris, I'll let you go right now, because if I'm in the minority, that's fine. But I tried, Rod. I watched it. I'm watching it. I say I'm going to watch this for Rod, and I did, Rod. I hate it.
Sure did. Jimmy, listen, I want honesty. That's why we're here. That's why this is a conversation show. I want honesty. I appreciate that out of you. Old man, what'd you think?
So I'm going to give you a couple pros that I enjoyed. I'll give you the good points first, because I did enjoy the fact that they had your sand, your rough, your fairway for if you're making your second shot or your approach shot or whatever it may be. Depending on how far away from the hole, the closer you got put to the screen until you're pitching up onto the green. Maybe I was expecting too much with the green getting moved around and changed when you had discussed it before, Rod, but like the bunkers stay the same. It just kind of spins and tilts different. Past that, like if you are a first-time watcher and this pops on right after the Duke game, you have no idea what's going on. There was no explanation of the rules or how long people had to hit or how the rotations worked or what the hammer was. Like the hammer got thrown out first, and I'm pretty sure it was Adam Scott that turned around and asked an employee or somebody, hey, what does that mean? Like if your players aren't going to know what's going on, how do you expect the fans that are just tuning in to know what's going on?
In defense of TGL and Adam Scott, that was his first time playing. All right, so you'd hope that he would have had a little better crash course before going out there for his maiden voyage, but he did not play last year, and he had not played yet this year for the Boston Common squad, so I'll give him a break there. The hammer, I will completely agree with you. I think the hammer is ridiculous. It doesn't seem to matter, and to me, what happens more often than anything with the hammer is a team will play it, and then the other team will just be scared of possibly giving up 2 points, and then they'll just quit and they'll stop playing that hole. So ultimately, I think that it's like it doesn't really add any drama. It doesn't really add any more entertainment. So I'll agree with you there. And Jimmy, the ambient music, I'll agree with you, but you didn't at least like the fact that Fleetwood Mac came on every time Tommy Fleetwood stepped up. You didn't at least enjoy that, so that you didn't like the symmetry there.
I was in a rage the whole time. Hey, Rod, all kidding aside, what is I still don't know, what is the hammer? So you give up 2 strokes. What is it?
Correct. If you're me against one another, right? And I think that my team is in a stronger position than your team on the whole, I'm going to throw the hammer down, right? And if you accept the hammer, meaning you think you might have a chance to flip it on me and steal the hole, you'll accept it, right? So the idea of what you want to do is you want to try to throw it when the other team thinks they might have a chance, but you actually are in a dominant position to score 2 points. Or you can throw the hammer when you know the other team is certainly not going to win the hole, and then you can just walk away. But the idea is you're going to get 2 points for the hole instead of just 1.
A couple other things real quick. The rule guy in the booth, that guy, the old guy, when they went to him, hey, can you tell us why that rule is invalid? He literally said, well, the rule is invalid. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's all he said. There was a little pause, and they went on to the next thing. So we need to fix that. I think they need to mic the golfers a lot better because you could hear a little bit. But there was a point when two of the guys were looking at one of the screens, talking to each other. I need that. Let them go over their strategy. Let us hear that. This isn't real golf. It's a video game golf, right? Have them get a little bit more access. I think that would be cool. And also, again, this needs to be in the Sphere or something like that. That is how big this screen needs to be because the screen just, it felt too small for the area that it was in. And if you get a really big surrounding screen, it would be a lot better. I really think that would be, I think that would be great. And just shooting it in general, I think they needed to shoot it differently, Rod. And this is the last one I'll go on. Because the drives, I mean, it's a video game golf screen, so the drives really didn't do much for me.
Yeah, I'm with you there, actually, because, like, when we're close up with the guys taking the swing, like, we know they have pretty golf swings. You know what I mean? Like, we know that. You know, we want to see the ball flight, right? We want to see these absolute darts that these guys are hitting, right? Like, there was a double eagle that happened on one of the par fives, right? One of the new guys, one of the young guns on tour, I can't remember the guy's name now. He hit the first ace in TGL history this year, right? So, I mean, I think those things are cool. Jimmy, you're right about the microphones on the players down on the field. We need more of it, but I fear that what you have there, Jimmy, is the same thing that we have in the NBA, where it's great when coaches have microphones on or when players have microphones on, but guess what? All of that footage has got to go by the NBA first, and the NBA is only going to allow so much of it to be released, right? And these guys still want to feel like they're down on the course bullshitting with their boys playing on the weekend, so they don't want to be a live mic live on the air all the time. But I'm with you, Jimmy, that more mics out of those guys would be better. Chris, your final thoughts before we move on.
I mean, I heard ODB in the background music, all right? If they're cool enough to play some Old Dirty Bastard, I'm down with whatever they're playing. I don't know what Jimmy's talking about.
There was no Matchbox 20, so I don't care.
Nice. It does move quickly, though, Jimmy. You got to give that up, right? At least it moves a lot quicker than the regular game of golf.
I like the shot clock. I did like the shot clock. And then also, real quick, my final is this going back to the screen. There were two other screens, one on the left, one on the right, that had a lot of stats in it that you really couldn't see if you were watching on TV. You got to put those graphics on the TV, and maybe on that drive, flip to the view of the actual game instead of shooting the screen. Maybe that would help a little bit.
I agree with you. The constantly seeing the ball fly into the screen is the least exciting part of TGL for sure. But I appreciate you guys for checking out TGL. I appreciate any of the listeners that tuned in to TGL. Shout out to my guy, Matt Roberts. I'm always texting back and forth with him about TGL. We know our resident golf guy loves that. But our resident basketball host around these parts is Jimmy Jamriska, because he runs the fast break, and I receive passes from him, just like Chris does. Let's go.
Welcome to the Fast Break, the fastest 15 minutes in the NBA. We've got a lot to talk about today, but Chris, I'm going to go to you first. The OKC Thunder better not book their trip to the finals yet, because the San Antonio Spurs might be the number one seed in the West. What are your thoughts on that?
San Antonio's on a hot streak, right? What is it, 10 in a row? Well, I know it's 10 in a row. But, like, listen, your OKC's dealing with injuries right now. Hopefully, if you're a Spurs fan, you don't have to go through it again for the rest of the year. Hopefully, Wemby stays healthy, because that's the most important piece to your puzzle. And if he goes down at the wrong time, that's going to kill San Antonio's chances in the postseason.
Rod, OKC Thunder had 14 losses last year. They have 15 this year. Do you think Wemby and the Spurs can stay healthy enough to overtake them?
What do you mean by overtake? We just talking about seeding for the playoffs?
Number one seed. I want number one seed right now. Number one seed.
Because remember, definitely possible.
Okay.
I think that's definitely possible. Now, if we're talking overtake, where we mean the Spurs are going to win the Western Conference over the Oklahoma City Thunder and then make it to the NBA Finals, that might be a little far for me to go. But if we're talking about the Spurs staying healthy enough to win the number one seed in the regular season, I think I'm there, because I think we've seen that the Spurs are getting buoyancy out of everybody on that team. Sure, Victor is an alien and otherworldly, but we're seeing Castle play better than he did last year. We're seeing Harper play excellent for a rookie. We're seeing Champagny step up from just a 3-and-D role player to a guy who can start for that team. We're seeing Keldon Johnson finally find his role as the heart and soul and gritty, gutty, everything Aaron Nesmith kind of guy for that team. So Wemby is the water that floats the Spurs boat, but they're hot enough and the Thunder are banged up enough that if you're talking regular season, Jimmy, I think they can't overtake it.
Speaking about being hot, the Boston Celtics are 8-2 in their last 10, and really that game against the Nuggets was a back-to-back tough game right there, but they're 8-2 in their last 10. Rod, what has been the most impressive thing about Jaylen Brown's season for you?
The consistency is the thing for me that you notice with Jaylen Brown, and he just every night works to get to his spots, right? He's Kawhi-like in that way, right? That when Jason Tatum was on this team, I think Jaylen was trying so hard that he would seem out of control and a metronome at times, and he was turning the ball over left and right because he was just forcing because he felt like this is going to be my only time to shine. Well, now he knows that the ball's coming through him no matter what. So he's working to that elbow. He's got this phenomenal spin move. He plays tough defense every night. And quite frankly, Jimmy, he still has some free throw misses that just make your mind explode. And he still gets a little loose with the ball when he's trying to go down the middle of the lane. So like those bad things mixed with the same, to me, is consistency. That's what has impressed me the most about Jaylen Brown.
Chris, we're going to stay in the East for you. The Cleveland Cavaliers are 8-2 in their last 10 as well. James Harden gets hurt, but will not require surgery. Do you think the Cavs have what it takes to get to the finals?
I think they do. I don't know if they're going to stay healthy enough to do it, though. They are going to have to be 100% if they end up meeting somebody like the Pistons to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, because that matchup will be real tough for Cleveland, even at full health.
Yeah, Rod, do you think that James Harden in this role of not having to be someone to be relied on to score is going to help him in the playoffs? Or do you think we're just going to see the exact same thing? If Donovan Mitchell has a bad night, the Cavs are screwed.
You know, James Harden's been in the NBA for so long. I think we always have a bit of history we can look back on with him, right? And we have his time in Brooklyn, where I don't know that he'll look back on that very fondly. But there was a time where all three of those guys played together, and they went into the Eastern Conference playoffs looking like a pretty dominant team. And James Harden was not the go-to guy. Kevin Durant was the go-to guy, and Harden got hurt. And then that ultimately maybe is what had Brooklyn falter. And that's what I worry about with the Cavs right now, because I think he's in the right spot. Donovan Mitchell is the number one go-to guy there. James Harden is honeymoon Harden. He gets along well at the beginning of every situation he goes to, but now he's hurt. So does he have enough to be the B for Cleveland? But Jimmy, you brought up Boston, you brought up Cleveland. It gets me thinking about the East, right? And I'm at such a conundrum here, and I'm going to ask you a question if you don't mind, all right? I believe in history, as I just stated, right? Playoff scars are what leads to playoff wins, okay? So am I to think that a team like Cleveland, who's not showing better than Detroit right now, is actually going to be better than Detroit in the playoffs because Cleveland has lost 3 years in a row and Detroit has never been there? Cleveland's basically gotten waxed in the playoffs for 3 years and not shown themselves to be good at all. But I'm supposed to believe that that means they're going to beat the Pistons? That's crazy. But what's even crazier, Jimmy, is I do believe that. So what do you think about that?
It's tough because the Cavs don't have the same guys coming back. They have someone brand new in James Harden. So he also brings his playoff, I guess, just experience in with them. It's so hard, Rod, because I don't see the Cavs going very far in the playoffs again. I really don't. And the Pistons were so close against the Knicks last year, and they're the number one seed. So they're going to be playing a team, you know, the Heat, the Hawks, the Hornets, the Bucks. You know, the Hornets might give them a little trouble, but I really think they're going to have a pretty good first round matchup that will give them the confidence then to go in the second round, Chris.
Let's be honest, the East is still a toss-up, right? We know Detroit's still the best right now, but there's still a lot of season left. The Celtics are overachieving as far as most people are concerned. It's a real surprise. I think that's going to continue, unfortunately, for everybody else who's not a Celtics fan. And then you don't know what the Knicks and the Cavs are going to do. Are they going to do the same thing they do every year, get to the Eastern Conference Finals or the second round and lose, right? Take a series to 7 games and lose. I mean, that's what I see for both those teams, unfortunately.
Well, Rod, I really do think it's those 4 teams, because then you have the Raptors, who I don't believe it because they're the Raptors. That's my ruling there. And then the 76ers, love them, great season. They can't stand up to 4 consecutive series. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. So really, it does come down to those 4 teams. And if you look at it, the Celtics are going to hopefully get Tatum back. They're going to have a few weeks to get him back in the rotation and see what's going on. The Pistons are going all gear right now once they get everyone back from suspension. The Knicks and Cavs, I mean, they've been playing pretty decent. It could be really anybody, Rod.
I, in my heart and soul and bones, believe that a team is not going to go from nothing to the NBA Finals. And sure, I understand that Detroit had a first-round series versus the Knicks last year that could have went their way, and a couple of last-second losses that went the Knicks' way. But for them to go from a first-round loser to the NBA Finals, I just don't see it. And then in the Western Conference, we already touched a little bit on San Antonio, Jimmy. They're trying to do something that's even more rare, to go from not being in the playoffs to all the way to the NBA championship. Like, teams that have gone from not in the playoffs to winning the championship, way rare. It's even rare to get to the championship after not being in the playoffs and lose. So, like, history speaks against the Spurs, but we've never seen somebody like Wembanyama. So everything's still up in the air for so many reasons. Because in my heart of hearts, I believe in experience. But right now, like you said, Jim, what in front of us, experience is not supposed to matter.
Speaking of Wembanyama, I could go 2 different ways with this. I got 2 things to hit, 2 transitions, and Wembanyama works for both. So I'm going to go with, speaking of Wembanyama, we have some teams this year that really, really want to be in the Wembanyama, if you will, sweepstakes for the draft coming up in June. We have the Damnation of the week. Rod, talk to us about your Damnation.
Boom, let's go. We have somebody on this podcast that does not understand strategy. We have someone on this podcast who is not fit to be in an NBA front office. We have someone on this podcast who just believes in rah, 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 Sisyphus, push the boulder up the hill no matter how little results you are getting from it. And that is crazy. The NBA has rules in place that if you are bad, you have a better chance to get good. And boy, are some of the squads in the NBA embracing it this year. So I, Rod Morgan, have chosen to celebrate those teams that are embracing the strategic advantage that is tanking, and I will shout them out in the Damnation of the week as we move forward. Number 3 on the Kings of the Tank, or Damnation, however you want to refer to it, are the Brooklyn Nets, who have managed to lose to both the Mavs and the Hawks down the stretch, games that they were winning, textbook tanking from the Nets. They did this very, very well last year. They are experts at it. Only problem is Nets maybe don't draft 5 players who aren't very good all in the first round, which is what they did with their tanking last year. Let's move on to the number 2 team in the Kings of the Tank. And that is mine, Dax Storm's Indiana Pacers. And Dax has embraced the assignment, ladies and gentlemen. He is a season ticket holder of the Indiana Pacers, and he currently has a gold tank t-shirt that he is wearing to home games. He understands the assignment. And you know who else does? The Indiana Pacers, because they are number 2. They have lost to the Wizards back-to-back days. February 19th, the Pacers lost to the Wizards back-to-back days. Pascal Siakam out one game for personal reasons? Why not? Well, I'll do you one better. He's out the next game as well. And also, we're going to sit Aaron Nembhard and Andrew Nembhard and Aaron Nesmith, excuse me. And the Pacers paid a fine about being tanked. And then Rick Carlisle went on the radio and complained and said they weren't tanking. Just great behavior out of the Pacers. You know how to tell people you're not tanking? By tanking and then telling them you're not tanking. Perfect work out of the tankers. I mean, the Pacers. Number 1, king of the tank, though, right now, has to go to the Memphis Grizzlies. And how do you become number 1 on the tanking list? You somehow figure out a way to lose to the 16 straight losing streak Sacramento Kings. Memphis Grizzlies, you figured out how to lose to the Sacramento Kings. You are kings of the tank for this week. And Jimmy, a couple games we're going to be paying close attention to for next week's Tank Damnation. We got Utah versus Pelicans, Kings versus Mavs, Wizards versus Hawks. All three of those games going on this evening. I will be paying close attention. And Memphis versus Dallas coming up on the 27th, and New Orleans versus Utah coming up on the 28th. I'll be keeping my eye on those matchups. There he is. There's Dax in the gold tank t-shirt. He gets the assignment. And Chris, I appreciate you for your head not exploding during that segment.
Yes, Chris, thank you very much. Chris, the floor is yours on that. Rod, excellently done. Great job.
I'm sorry. I must have zoned out. I really didn't pay attention or hear much over those last couple of minutes.
So
it wasn't 10 minutes either. I didn't go for 10 minutes.
I said
He said couple of minutes. I do love it. It's pretty bad when the Jazz have to say Adam Silver isn't sending a representative to see Lauri Markkanen's MRI result. They're just going to send it to him. They're not going to send him to make sure it's actually Lauri Markkanen and not Lauri Markkanen's great grandmother who's getting their MRI for him going in there. We'll see. Tanking hasn't really worked, and it's put some teams down to that 4, 5, 6 spot. So we'll see what happens. But what does work,
who else
Chris?
Drafting high in the draft has worked for though, Jimmy? 3 teams that we just talked about: the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Detroit Pistons, and the San Antonio Spurs. So you guys could say tanking doesn't work, but it also does work.
Yeah, but they didn't tank. Yes, they did, Chris. But these teams don't tank. Well, one might be in the Kings. Hardwood, hierarchy.
All right, this team has already dominated this podcast a little bit. Listen, you go out there, you win 10 in a row, and you're chasing down the best record in the league. San Antonio, Victor, they're the king of the hierarchy this week. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
I think that's fair.
I think we've said all we can about the Spurs. They've done a great job. They're kings.
You know what we can say, though? Nice new graphic there, Jimmy. Hopefully you guys are checking us out on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe there on YouTube. A nice new graphic for the hierarchy there.
Let's go.
And we're going to go with the best team in the league, or the best record. All right? It's the Detroit Pistons. They're the queen. They're still on top of the East. Best record in the league. A solid team right now.
So the king and queen just switch spots.
Would the Pistons be offended by the way that we just called them the Queens? Do you think that they might try to fight us the way that they tried to fight the Charlotte Hornets?
Yes, they will be very unhappy. All right. These they're starting to remind you of maybe the bad boys of Detroit in the mid to late 80s. All right. This is a dangerous team. And then, Rod, we got to give your boys more props, all right? The Celtics, Prince, all right? They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're number 2 in the East, all right? Like I said, I think they're overachieving, but you got to give them props.
I'll tell you what, let me since you guys don't love it when the Celtics get talked up on this podcast, let me do a quick 15-second Rod Damnation right now about the Celtics. Orlando Magic fans, I now know what you were complaining about. Chicago Bulls fans, I now know what you were complaining about. Nikola Vucevic moves like Frankenstein with concrete blocks for shoes. That dude hasn't hustled a second in his NBA career. Get him out of here. I don't even like seeing him on the court for the Celtics. Good gracious.
That's fantastic.
All right, Chris, who you got?
All right, and since there's some sort of weird tank damnation thing going on this podcast, I am not going to be picking tanking teams as my jester, all right? I'm going to be picking teams that are just plain bad, and no one's playing worse right now, I don't care who you are, than the Chicago Bulls. They've lost 10 in a row. They're this week's jester.
So you're not going to pick any tanking teams, so your jester's going to be the Bulls.
Listen, there's exceptions to the rule. The Bulls should not be actively tanking. They actually had a chance and still kind of have a chance to get into the play-in game. If you have a chance to make the playoffs, right?
They're going to get in. They're
somehow.
So that's not tanking. You lose 10 in a row, though, you're not playing good basketball. You are a jester. People are laughing at you.
Lose 10 in a row, and still 3 teams are behind you. Speaking about people being behind, I am behind in the wins league. I am 3rd with 181. Wu-Tang is 2nd with 184. And Rod, congratulations! 85 wins. You are right now the champion of our wins league. Eric with 167 is 4th, and Chris with 158 is in last. It's bad when you have the Pacers and the Jazz, Chris. I'm not going to lie. You're not going to win much if you have both of those teams.
They're out for personal reasons. They're
I
out
know
for
how you
rivalry
feel in
reasons.
football, Jimmy. All right, I just know how you feel in
Ouch.
football.
There we go. Get the shot back on Jimmy.
Yes, those Dallas Cowboys, let me tell you, they've done anything. The MVP table, just to kind of check in real quick, Jokic with 16 games missed. He's got 1 to go. SGA up to 11 games missed. Just kind of note that down. Wemby, 14 games missed. Luka, 12 games missed. And Rod, feeling pretty good about your Cade Cunningham little prediction a week ago, aren't you? 6 games missed.
It's looking good for him. It is. I wonder if you're Cade, how you'll feel about winning it, right? Where it's kind of going to be like, hey, guess what? You weren't better than Jokic or SGA or Giannis or some of these other guys, but you played over 65 games, so congratulations.
Yeah, don't really like that at all. But what I do like, gentlemen, is the Yeah We Know podcast portion of the More You Know podcast. We're talking WWE right now. Welcome to the Yeah We Know podcast portion of the podcast. I'll figure that transition out in a little bit, Rod. Don't worry about it. We've got a lot to talk about here. I think the biggest thing we have to discuss is what is going on with the Vision. Rod, should Triple H, Paul Levesque ever do a fake injury angle again, even if it's obvious that it's fake?
Yeah, man, it certainly does seem like karma or a voodoo doll or some sort of weird pagan seance spell has been cast against them. We had to break Paul Heyman as the advocate of Brock Lesnar in case of emergency glass because the Vision bodies are dropping like flies. And Jimmy, I don't know about you, but I think the way to save this is Austin Theory and Logan Paul need to be tag champs stat, or the Vision really seems not important at all.
I wonder what they're thinking, because it's not safe, Chris, right now to be in that group.
You want to push the Vision, get Bronson Reed into the Elimination Chamber. There's no reason for us to have Jey Uso as a tag champion get back into the Elimination Chamber. Give us Bronson Reed.
Okay, so, hey, just for the record, Bronson Reed is actually hurt. He tore his bicep in that match. He was supposed to win the match. He was supposed to win. Jey Uso and El Grande Americano, old school, had to just kind of wrestle, and then the ref said, Jay, you're going over, so they put Jay over. They did a good job, but the fans, it was funny because the fans were up, and then the rest of the show they were down because they kind of knew something bad happened. And give it to the WWE fans. When something bad happens, it stinks, and they really hate to see that. I hate to see it for Bronson Reed, Rod. This is the second huge injury he's had. Can't catch a break. He is someone who was released by Vince McMahon. Came back, did the NXT thing, did the WWE, was put into a main event angle, and just he got hurt again.
It's unfortunate that real life seems to be sneaking into the WWE way more than I remember it as a kid. I don't know if that's because, as you've stated, that these guys are treated way better these days. We've made more advancements. We're trying to be safer for all of them. But, man, I just don't remember too many injury angles when I was a kid. But it's also possible that, these guys were hurt, and I just didn't think about it as well. You know what I mean? So it's just I do wonder about that. But it does stink for a guy like Bronson Reed because, as you stated, each time he seems to be gaining a little bit of momentum. He seems to get a little bit of heat. Real life steps in the way for the guy. So I'm bummed, man. Hopefully him or Braun, probably Braun be back quicker, I would think. I'm not real sure, though, actually, about
he's
a bicep
still out
versus
for a
hernia.
while, too.
Yeah,
he's out for a while, too.
I mean, I'm sorry that it's hard for a noob like me to sometimes discern if they're doing a bit or if it's a real injury. I mean, I've seen that guy jump on top of cars I don't know how many times, and he walks away. So, sometimes I just can't tell.
So you will, and that's perfectly fine, Chris. I'm really glad that you brought that up because maybe no one else knew that that's a legit injury. It is strange because you see a lot of those where it's the smallest thing that can put you out. Like trying to break up a pin, although he might have heard it a little earlier, picking someone up, but breaking up a pin and all of a sudden your bicep is removed. Sliding into the ring, Vince McMahon tears both his quads. It happens, right? It's just so
Shawn
bad.
Michaels, right? Shawn Michaels just going out of the ring and you just like, he just kind of grazed his back on that table, and that basically ended his career.
Pretty much ended his career. SmackDown from Friday had a couple things on it, but I do want to talk about that main event where Aleister Black beat Randy Orton after Drew McIntyre, the good guy, of course, came in and caused that. What a big win for Black. Does not hurt Orton. I like that, Rod. Your thoughts on that ending?
I'm for pushing guys from the mid card. It's just something that I'm finding myself being all about now, where I'm just like, all right, man, Cody's had his shots, Jay's had his shots, Drew has had his shots, and he has the belt. You know what I mean? Randy Orton's basically a mid carder at this point as well. You know what I mean? So I would have been fine with him getting over as well. But you're right that Randy is a certified Hall of Fame. He's gonna be just fine, and it's a big win for Alistair because he's got the charisma, he's got the character, he's got the real life fighting skill. You know what I mean? But like he just was missing a little bit of something. So like gaining a heat with the win like this, okay, I'm for it. I like you. Was impressed that somebody with a name actually took an L. Now, granted, Drew had to get involved because it couldn't be a legit L, but at least it was an L.
No, of course not. Chris, of course, you support everything Drew McIntyre does. You don't see anything wrong with this, correct?
How many times have I told you guys on this podcast I am waiting for and to see the legend killer Randy Orton, and I have not seen it since he's been back. He has done nothing but lose. That's all he's done since he's been back. Rod's right. He's more of a mid-carder now, I think. I mean, he doesn't do anything but go in there and lose.
Wait a minute.
The only thing he does get over with is when he can RKO during a bump in the middle of the ring or something.
Hold on. You're not going to use Rod says Randy Orton's a mid-carder to like boo. You're not going to like take me out of context for wrestling Twitter and like have Randy Orton fans coming after me. That's not exactly what I said.
That's what I heard.
Of course, it's what you heard. Speaking of hearing a lot of things about AJ Styles and his retirement. Apparently, he's actually retired. It was the AJ Styles show on Raw and really had some nice video packages. A lot of people from his past. It was great seeing Abyss in the mask again. And that ending, I thought, was done very well because we were all waiting for something. It's like, what's going to happen? Is Gunther going to come out? Or, what's going to happen? And then The Undertaker comes out and puts him in the Hall of Fame, which I thought was great. And this isn't anything to stop him from going to AEW sooner. He says he's done. He's going to be working for WWE. He's going to wrestle again, I'm assuming, eventually in life, but not anytime soon. Rod, I thought this was tastefully done, which is strange.
Yeah, I agree with you that I basically was sitting around waiting for that other shoe to drop, right? Because we saw Cena's retirement didn't exactly go off quite as saccharine as we all might have hoped, right? We didn't exactly think AJ Styles was going to have a retirement match, and then that's how it went down. So the fact that he was kind of given the proper send-off, I enjoyed. Love anytime we can work Scott Stapp into a wrestling broadcast, so that was absolutely phenomenal. We got some Creed Higher there for the 3.5-minute video package
Creed's
for
back,
AJ
baby.
Styles. And, Jimmy, you mentioned it yourself, The Undertaker at the end, the Boneyard match, seeing a little bit of that was a cool time during COVID. COVID wasn't a cool time, but the cinematic matches the WWE pulled off during COVID were pretty cool, and that is a great example of it. And hey, Undertaker was locker room leader during his career. Why not have him as the gatekeeper to the Hall of Fame? I buy it.
I think that's kind of a nice little touch that they do. And Stephanie McMahon and AJ Styles going in is a pretty good class so far. Chris, what'd you think of the end?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Listen.
You hate AJ Styles.
No, I love The Undertaker more than I would say I hate AJ Styles. And listen, I haven't watched a lot of his career either, but he is phenomenal in the ring. There wasn't a single match he was involved in that I didn't enjoy. All right. Deserves to be in the Wrestling Hall of Fame by far. And I love The Undertaker, so anytime he's on the screen, I'm going to enjoy it.
Just because Scott Stapp stiffed you for that tour that you did for them in 2002, all right, you still can't hold that against AJ Styles. I don't know that he picked out the song. He might not have anything to do with it, Chris.
I just know I'm owed something, Rod.
I love the fact that you still are mad at him for that. It's been so long, Chris. It's been 24 years. I mean, in your life, that's not very long. I understand that. But, so many things to talk about. Brock Lesnar came out, and he's going to be on 5 or 6 Raws before WrestleMania. It looks like this is just going to be an open challenge at WrestleMania at this point. No one in the back has the guts to come and face Brock Lesnar. Rod, let me throw this at you. It's not going to happen. But at WrestleMania, when he says no one in the back has the guts, the glass shatters. Stone Cold Steve Austin comes down and faces Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, so we finally get that big matchup at WrestleMania. This would be a horrendous idea. Horrendous idea. The man has no neck. Horrendous idea. But that's fantasy booking, Rod.
Well, if we're going to fantasy book people who have been involved in big WrestleMania matches with Stone Cold and also have a bad neck,
Yes.
why don't we just fantasy book somebody else who we haven't seen for a little while, Jimmy, with the same exact thing you talked about? Lesnar comes out for all these appearances on Raw. Nobody wants to come out, right? We cut to the back, and guys like Otis and Tozawa and some of the other people that we have no problem making fun of are like literally peeing down their leg and are afraid of Brock Lesnar, right? And then on WrestleMania night, Lesnar's standing out there in the middle of the ring. Maybe even to lead off one of the shows. Who knows, right? And all of a sudden, and I was like, everybody's like, oh my God, is that KO's music? And then all of a sudden, here he comes walking out with a sleeveless tee, duct tape KO on it, taped up knuckles, ready to get after it. Let's go.
Chris, who you got? Who you want it to be?
I want it to be LA Knight. You want to talk about somebody that we love who needs to get over, and beating Brock at WrestleMania would put him in a great, great position. Give me LA Knight.
Yeah. LA Knight's not getting over on Brock Lesnar, dude.
I was going to say, I would like that. He puts him in a nice match, but he's not winning that. There's no way they're going to have him win that. I love you, Chris. There's no way.
No.
I mean, if they do, then they've just switched everything they've done. I think LA Knight is, I would say he's in the top 3 of people who might actually wrestle him. I think Obafemi is someone else. If they want to push him real quick, it's dangerous to do that.
How dare you do that to Rusev? How dare you do that to Rusev? He was wearing a Rusev Day shirt the other day, Jimmy, underneath his jacket, and you're doing this to him.
Yeah, I feel bad for Rusev. I really do. He has 2 great gimmicks, him and Lana in Rusev Day. Pick one of them. They didn't pick any of them.
That's true.
But then finally, I really think it might be time for Gunther. If they're not going to do anything with Gunther, have him be the one who wrestles Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
That's where
I'm not buying it.
My money was going to go. Like, if you're going to ask me who I really thought it was and not a fantasy booking, I would have said Gunther.
Can I speak freely? Here?
Oh, you don't like Gunther?
I'm over Gunther being an asshole. Like, I'm over Gunther being an asshole, right? Like, to me, there's a difference between, like, just being an asshole and, like, being, I'm confident, I'm a badass, I'm cocky. Like, now he's just being an asshole. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just rubbing everybody's face in it to, like, just rub everybody's face in it. And, like, that to me doesn't speak Gunther, right? Gunther's supposed to be above rubbing somebody's face in it because he's just a badass who cares about wiping people away in the ring. So, like, just going out and getting run out of the ring by Pierce and, like, actively just trying to piss off the crowd, I'm over it, man.
Chris, Rod doesn't like Gunther because he's being a bad boy right now. He's just being mean, Chris. He's a bully. You're a bully.
I mean, they're pushing him as a bad guy, right? He ends careers, right? I'm kind of with Rod, though. I like the shtick better when he was just an overconfident, Eastern European type douche, right? Like, I enjoyed that. Like, that was good. He was in there just to wipe somebody up and kick them out of the ring and move on to the next one.
Looks like we have a show title, Eastern European type douche. That's our show title. Then finally we had Natty throwing Maxine Dupree into the ring post, and her just, here's the thing. A real injury happened, so that didn't really go over very well. But give it to Maxine Dupree. She sold that like no other. That was a good sell. Didn't like the angle, but that was a great sell on her end, Rod.
Yeah, she's getting better at the ring, but here's the problem with that angle, Jimmy, and I think this is why you didn't like it either, because if we're going to birth the low-key legend, Natty Neidhart, who is an actual badass and came up through the dungeon, then you can't book her the way you booked Natalya, who was like mid-card, get people over, I'm going to lose. You know what I mean? And so, like, if all you're going to do is have her beat on Maxine Dupree, it's not going to work. Who they give Natty to next will tell the story for me here, Jim.
All right. We go to the CM Punk came out and chatted a little bit about something. It didn't really matter. And Finn Balor said some stuff too. It's fine.
Oh, let's go to the Elimination Chamber. The best part. Let's talk about it, all right? Because this is a crossover event right here. Because you had CM Punk, Phil, show up in a NASCAR owned by the GOAT. The jump man jumped from NBA to baseball, back to NBA, then into NASCAR, and he's winning championships again. All right? Let's just give it up for Michael and everything he's able to do no matter what sport he conquers.
Yes, other than the Charlotte Bobcats, he's had a pretty good run in his life and winning. So good job to his airness for sure. We're going to go to the Elimination Chamber next, where we have 4 matches and what's in the box. Let's talk about the Women's Intercontinental Championship between Becky Lynch and AJ Lee. I know this is one that the three of us are looking forward to just so much. If I think about, I'm not sure who should win this. I actually think Becky Lynch should win this some way, shape, or form. But if she does, I think that means they're going to go to WrestleMania and have another match there. I'm going to pick Becky Lynch to win, but I'm not confident in that, Rod.
AJ Lee.
Okay, Chris?
Here's another point I'm going to agree with Rod. This was in a off-show text thread, but like she just comes back after 10 years and all of a sudden the number one contender, all right? Like, I don't like it. Give me Becky to keep the belt. I don't think
Welcome to
AJ
wrestling,
Lee
Chris.
deserves it. Yeah,
She doesn't deserve it. I love that. I love it. You don't want her to win it because she hasn't earned it yet. She hasn't won any matches to get into that. I like that a lot. World Heavyweight Championship match, CM Punk versus Finn Balor. In some universe, the masked man comes out, stomps CM Punk, Finn Balor wins the championship. He pulls the mask off, and it's Seth Rollins again. And Seth Rollins and CM Punk headlines Night 2 of WrestleMania in a blood feud. In this world, Dominic is going to cause Finn Balor to lose, and CM Punk's going to beat Finn Balor for the championship. Chris?
Fantasy, this is what I want to see. I want to see Finn Balor win and ruin Phil's chances of having a WrestleMania main event moment as champion. That's what I'm picking and wishing for.
Is there any possible way in this match where I can get Finn Balor as the demon, I can get Demonito, and then the interference in the match is actually Mr. Iguana? Is there any way that I could we could work this out? Are Demonito and Mr. Iguana still going after it? Can we get Mr. Iguana involved in this match in any way, shape, or form, Jim? Could Mr. Iguana
Mr.
be in the
Iguana
box?
comes.
Mm-hmm. I just want to see Mr. Iguana. I just want to see Mr. Iguana come out of the box, Jim. I mean, that's just and
Okay.
Lieska. Is that how we say the little? Is it
Yeska.
Lieska? Is that what we say? Yeska. Excuse me.
Yeska.
Yes. I took French
job.
from Monsieur Pete, and I did not have Spanish with Senorita Ruiz. I was in John Barron's class.
Rob.
I was
He's a little older than us.
I was a short order cook and dishwasher at the Branding Iron. I was watching in the bar.
That's in Cheyenne, Jimmy. Yeah, absolutely. I like what you said there, Dominic. I think we've got a scenario where Dominic and Finn, the Judgment Day, explode, right? Dominic has his feud going on in AAA with El Vikingo de Hysterio or whatever that guy's name is. If Dom loses to him, he can't ever come back to AAA anymore. We got a lot of things cooking with Dom, a lot of things. Really, Jimmy, I just want Mr. Iguana and to come out of the box. That's really what I want. No.
I want to say 6.
Is it an inanimate object or is this a person? Do we think a person's going to pop out of the box or is it going to be an inanimate object that leads to a person?
No idea.
Bull rope? Bull rope? Could we be getting a bull rope match? I like the box. I like the box being involved with Cody Rhodes because anything to make Cody Rhodes seem more exciting, I'm absolutely for. Absolutely not. You and I won't be, right? Because we get too many fantasy booking things in our heads and then it'll end up, you know what I mean? You and I will be at like 3 or 4. That was even weird. I even thought the way that was weird. Like because you punched her in the face, we're supposed to know that you picked her? Like that was weird. And why I mean, listen, if you bring Jade Cargill out and she doesn't actually wrestle anybody or talk, that's the perfect way to use Jade Cargill. So I was absolutely fine with that part of that segment, but I didn't like the fact that I pick you by punching you in the face.
Rhea, that's what we want, right? I bet you that's not what we get, but that's what we want, and that's what I'm picking.
Jade Cargill? Is that what you're asking me? If Jade Cargill's going to be up to a Rhea Ripley match standard? That's what you're asking me?
Yeah.
No, that's ridiculous.
I know.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
I know.
There's no chance.
Who you got?
I have a bit of a quick little wrestling Rod Damnation here. Why is Kiana James in this match? Why is Kiana James allowed to get over on Charlotte Flair? Why is Kiana James in this match when we have so many other new NXT people that we are trying to explode and make something? Like we are bringing Kiana James up to get absolutely worn out, and we had to do it by beating the Queen, and it absolutely has me pissed off, Jimmy. I'm sorry. I got to go Chris here and stick up for my girl. My girl laying down so Kiana James can become dog fodder in the Elimination Chamber match. I don't like how that's going. Io Sky. Wait, no, Io Sky's not in the match now. Man,
No.
Tiffy's in the stupid commercial for WrestleMania in Las Vegas, so she's going to be involved in some sort of match that means something.
Yeah,
I mean, Jade's got a belt of her own, right? Rhea and Io are tag champs, right? Becky Lynch has got the Intercontinental belt. You know what I mean? Charlotte's on the outside looking in right now, and she's in that commercial too. But Charlotte's not in the Elimination Chamber match, so I got to go with Tiffy.
I want LA Knight to win. They're not
Of
going to
course you
let
do.
him. That's why he's
No.
going to end up fighting Brock Lesnar. But I want LA Knight to win, and that's who I'm picking. Yeah,
It's something different. I don't think it's going
Yep.
to happen, but something different.
I can't leave disappointed of that match, Jimmy.
Well, I think one thing that I want to point out here real quick is I'm excited that we have some fur. I'm excited that we have some diamonds blinging. I'm excited that we have some lemon pepper steppers. Let's talk about it. Trick Williams hit the stage the other night to come down for that match, and that place exploded, man. Trick Williams is over like Rover right now. He is absolutely huge. He can wrestle. I'm all in on Trick Williams. That being said, there's no chance he's winning the Elimination Chamber match. No chance. Him and Javon Evans are here to get beat, and that is fine. Good for them to have some platform. I personally think that we are moving Javon Evans up a little too fast. But so that being said, those two can't win. Jey Uso, we know, was not supposed to be in the match. So that's 3 people out right there that cannot win. That only leaves us with 3. LA Knight is not going to win, so that only leaves us with 2, Jimmy. I mean, 50-50 shot there. Who do you got?
Yep. Cody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I didn't want to say it. I wanted you to say it because it was going to seem like I was, coming down on Cody. But come on. We didn't think Cody deserved to be in the match. You and I thought that the right ending to that would be have Sammy win and Cody get screwed by Drew. They didn't do that. Cody gets protected. Cody sells the merch. The kids love Cody. Cody will absolutely do your show. Joe NY, Roman Reigns, probably not. He's not going to show up. He's not going to be there. He's not going to film. He's not going to do your show. Cody Rhodes, he'll be in Des Moines. Cody Rhodes will be on your podcast. Cody Rhodes will be on your television show. Cody Rhodes is going to be protected. He will win the Elimination Chamber. I like what we did with Stephanie Vaquer going up and yelling at Liv Morgan. I like the angle of, hey, you're protected. You're the pretty face that the WWE wants. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of dig that whole angle. You win all your matches nefariously. I come down here by myself. Like, I dig that. But, like, I thought that Liv took it a little bit too far. You know what I mean? Like, the girl whose theme song is literally cry about it, she starts crying about it just because somebody attacked her verbally a little bit. I had trouble with that.
That's the type of character she is, though. She is telling you to cry about it, but she can't take it when it's get given back. Like, that's the character I think she's playing, right? That's the way I see it. So it didn't bother me. I thought she was hamming it up a little bit when Dom had to translate everything for her, but I still love that whole fucking thing. So I'm all for it. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think they both can wrestle, right? So it should be a great match.
Been the Yeah We Know podcast.
But that's half the fun. Knowing is half the battle, right? Didn't G.I. Joe used to tell us that?
Like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye, Nat.
If you had G.I. Joe being the last thing I mentioned on this podcast, congratulations, you're a winner, because I didn't even have that. Man, even The Rock got involved and it was bad. Channing Tatum was in it too. Like, you got people, and they just couldn't make it happen. Marlon Wayans.
Bruce Willis was there.
Yeah, right? We needed more Shipwreck.
You also can't have a